cruising the EV forums and seeing the discussions about how people adapt to an EV and how they charge at home is interesting. Occasionally I see situations in which they have a burnt out outlet because they're using an outlet that's already in their house and they just plug in an EV to it, and they don't realize that it's a lot of continuous amps when they're charging. So I wanted to learn more about the subject, right? And I've used for several years now, I've used a particular outlet. Hadn't had any problem, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. But I've noticed that they actually have outlets now that say EV on them. And they're not easy to find. It's not like you can walk into Lowe's or Home Depot and just like pick it off the shelf. They should, but they have it on the websites sometimes. But you have to like custom order, and there's a lot of just bogus stuff on Amazon and everywhere. I wanted to get some legitimate offerings, not just like some copycat on Amazon or counterfeit, stuff like that. Because there's like Hubble, counterfeit Hubble outlets out there that are just like not good, right? So I was kind of, just trying to learn about it and understand what to look for when looking at an outlet and the different quality grades, because there's huge amount of difference between, like right here is like $10 all the way up to $70, right? And there's this one, which is absolutely boggling my mind, the price here on these two, which I'll explain. So this one is, you see right here, it says WR, and that means weather rated. So you see it on this one. See it has WR on there. And then you see it on this one here, WR. So that's one thing that it's basically a stamp on there, and I can't tell an actual difference, right? So we'll get into that in more detail. I keep saying that, but there's a lot to go over first. First of all, this is like a cheapo outlet, and I think it's made by Leviton, but it says Midwest, and this was in this box right here. So this metal box, and there's like a place to put an outdoor outlet, right? And this was in there, weather rated, because it's intended to go outside, and it looks pretty decent. I mean, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And when you look right in here, you can see that it has a bolt and then a little place for the wire to go, and then you screw this in and it squeezes the bolt here, right? And there's a flat surface here. So right in here is a flat surface, and the bolt compresses the wire into this location, okay? And you just notice it's flat, and the bolt comes in contact with the wire. This is a Utilitech. I think it's like $12. And similar type deal where you tighten this down, and then you can see that there's a curvature here, like a little U shape, and then the bolt compresses the wire into that U shape. So instead of a flat surface like the other one, it kind of conforms a little bit better to the wire. And this has no name on it. There is a number here, which is a Utilitech put out by, I think it's Lowe's. Now here's an Eaton. And one thing to notice before we go any further, you see the Utilitech and the Eaton are like almost identical. But you see where the blades go in for the plug. You notice this one is a half. This one is a full. So like it has full contact here. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, it has full contact with the blade. And this one on the Midwest has like half contact. It's not even contacting the full blade. That's something to recognize. You can see that in pictures. One of the things about these listings on these outlets is it basically just gives you like a stock photo that looks like this. You can't see in there hardly, and you can't see the back, and you hardly see anything. And I was like, that's good enough for you. $70, please, right? And so they don't really give you enough information. They don't show you the back. They don't show you any details at all. All right, so you can see the Utilitech is actually very similar to the Eaton. And the Eaton It's important to me because this is the one that I've been using for several years now without a problem, charging EVs up to 40 amps. And I haven't had any problems whatsoever. And this is like a $12 outlet. It's very, very cheap. And it has a flat spot here. And this compresses down. And of course, I tightened it very good. I didn't actually, when I first set it up, I didn't torque spec it. And that's another important factor here. So it's just a flat spot. So it just compresses basically the center wires, and then the other ones might fray there on the side. So yeah, just a flat spot there. This one is a Pass and Seymour by Legrand. And you see it has basically a full blade there. So the blade is able to go in and get full contact on both sides. You can see in there pretty decent. It's an EV, specifically an EV rated and weather rated here. And it doesn't have any torque specs on it itself, but it does say on the box 20 pounds, 20 inch-pounds. All right. So torque terminal to 20 inch-pounds, which is very low, pretty low. But you notice right here, and this is kind of beefy looking, this pushes in, and it's basically the screw or the bolt presses in directly contacting the wire, and it has a little bit of a U shape here. So that way when it compresses it, it's able to kind of keep it in the center there and not kind of spread out on a flat surface. So it gets better contact, and looks pretty beefy. But $70 for this one. So far, like this is going to be like a $10 outlet, 10, 12, 10, 12. And then this one is $70, okay? But it does say it's EV rated. And it does fit a standard hole. So all these so far fit the standard hole. It's a little bit over 2 inches, like 2.10 or something like that, hole for a 220 outlet. So this is the NEMA 1450 50 amp outlet. Is all these basically. But when we get into these, this is the Leviton, okay? And the Leviton has a new one where you can get it an EV right here. EV rated, has a little vehicle, and it has a little charge there, so it's rated to charge a EV. This one, same deal, except for it has WR. This one is $40. This one is $68, $69. So we're talking $30 difference to get that weather rating. And I can't tell any difference whatsoever. I looked this over. Another thing is, it's kind of interesting. When I got this one in first, and I noticed right here, this little looked like a crack. And I thought, wow, this thing's cracked already. Like, what's going on there? And then the other one came in that's not weather rated. It has the exact same line. So it must be some kind of mold mark. So it's coming out of the same mold, apparently, because we have that exact same line here, which looks a lot like a crack, but I don't think it is. But it's identical on both of these. So looking inside, they look, I don't know if you can tell, they look identical. The contacts, materials used look the same. And these are larger, so they don't fit into the standard place. You have to have a special plate for these. So a little bit larger. It's a little bit under 2.5 inches, so substantially bigger. Looking at the back, these both have Allen wrenches, Allen screws here. And also, you torque these to 75 inch-pounds, not 20 like the other one, 75 inch-pounds. So that's a lot more pressure. And the way it's designed is if you look in here, you can see that this screw pushes on this plate, and that plate compresses the wire into this little chamber, this little angled chamber, and it has little dimples there. So you're not actually having, unlike all these other ones, even the cheap ones to this expensive one, you have the bolt coming directing, just basically turning on and pushing on the wire itself. This one, the bolt pushes this plate and this together. It's not really the exact. Let me show you what happens here. This actually pulls that bottom part up into the plate. So as I tighten it, it pulls that together and compresses it. And there's little dimples in there to get better contact in the middle. So you can have that really strong spot there. And it's very smooth as well. So this is actually like $1 cheaper than this one on the high-end scale, the weather-rated, EV-rated, all that stuff. All right? This one, which I can't tell a single difference in any of it, the materials, the mold marks, everything looks identical. I just don't understand why this other one, the weather-rated one, is $30 more. I can't tell a difference, right? Is there some kind of special coating? Is it gold-plated? Like, what's going on with $30 when there's absolutely no visual difference here? And it has the same system to where this compresses just like the other one. So this one for $40 seems to be the clear winner as far as quality and everything. So specific, unless you have to have that WR on there for whatever it is, a code or something, that's probably what it is. They have maybe extra insurance or something on it, and they just stamp WR on there, and then to be code compliant, you get that, and they take advantage of that compliance, I guess. But I can't tell a difference. They look identical to me. So for $40, as long as you're not getting it wet or anything, which you don't really want to do that anyway, this is a great deal. So yeah, it seems high quality. Now the thing is, like I said, it doesn't fit the standard plates. So if you buy a box like this, thinking you're going to put it in there, it's not going to work. These larger ones, these larger Levitons. So I don't even know where you would get a replacement plate for that type of thing. Now what you can do is get something like this, a conduit box, as long as it's deep enough here, and then you can put it in there, put it in place, and then this one had a multiple type system where it had lots of different options. Here's it is right here, and it has different things you can put inside, right? So one of them was the correct diameter for this outlet. So now I can put that like so, and I have an in-use outdoor outlet. Once I assemble it, it'll be an in-use outdoor sealed up outlet, and I can run the wire out the bottom, and if I cut this right there, I can keep this closed and then just run the cord wire out the bottom. So yeah, that would be a good way of doing it, as long as you had that larger hole right there, and that, depending on your needs, if it's in your garage or under a carport or something like that, you may not need all this weatherproofing. But yeah, if you need the WR stamped on it, then you got to pay an extra $30 more. But yeah, something to look at. A lot of these cheap ones, I've had no problem with this one. And then this is an outdoor box, an Eaton box like this Midwest box. It came in an Eaton wet box like that, and this Eaton has had no problems whatsoever charging at 40 amps, right? So this is a 50 amp outlet at continuous use. You don't want to go higher than 40, right? And so yeah. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Just want to share with you what these look like and the different quality differences here, and the perplexing price differences here. It's amazing. But yeah, just kind of looking at the way the wires go in, very important to torque it, because that's where a lot of the burn out outlets, they're almost always burn out on one of these back here, almost always. But what happens is this heats up, and then it heats up this whole section, and it looks like it's coming from here. It's usually not contacting, but sometimes, the blade. Like when the blade goes in, something like this where it has full contact is usually fine. It's usually back here when you examine it. This is where the arcing was and the resistance was, heating up this whole thing. And then, of course, it's going to heat up the blade, it's going to heat up this and everything, and melt the whole thing and just look like crap. But having the correct torque spec here is very important. Plugging in, fully plugging in the cord, and make sure, that there's no, like half plugged in or pulled out halfway or whatever, tugging on the cord and you pulled it out, that kind of stuff. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, things to look for. Full set, the blades that go full have full contact, unlike this one. And then the way the wire is clamped, whether it's just like a flat spot, so like that is just like a flat spot there. So the wire is round, and then you put it in there, and it's just flat. So it's basically it's not contoured to a round wire, right? So it just kind of squishes it, and then half of the strands get sprayed, flayed out or whatever, and it's only the pressure in the middle. This one, and some of these, you can see how this one's angled. But yeah, some of them have a little bit of an angle to it, where it makes more sense to where you're getting even pressure and better contact area. You want contact area, and also you want adequate pressure. So yeah, this one to me wins for $40. That's a really good deal. But yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on it. I'm kind of learning about these outlets, and especially these new EV ones. And it seems like it's somewhat of a gimmick on this one. This one for $70 just doesn't seem, I'm just not getting the value out of this one. I don't understand it. I mean, it's not much different from the Eaton, and the Eaton's like $10, So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to spend $70, from so far my experience, I would get the Leviton here. This seems like a better quality unit. You just have to make sure that you have the large enough wall plate or whatever it is, because it doesn't fit the regular ones. But anyways, there's some information. Hopefully it'll help you in some way. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.